Hey, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Al Hight here with the Al Hight Show. So first and foremost, I want to say, as I always do, welcome to the Al Hight Show. Today we have a great guest that's going to be joining us, and you guys get a chance to meet him here in just a few moments. As we do all the time on the Al Hight Show, folks, I want to make sure that you understand what we do. We are great partners with ANHSCA. ANHSCA, the acronym ANHSCA. ANHSCA, ANHSCA.com, the American National High School Championship Association. Want to make sure that you know that we're great partners with them. So if you guys get a chance, make sure that you go online at ANHSCA.com, buy a cup, a hat, t-shirt, or something like that. They help us out with these great kids that we have out there in America that's doing really positive things. And we have so many good students that's doing things. We want to make sure that we give them credit for what they're doing. So if you get a chance, help us out with that and support them online, ANHSCA.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a special guest today. Today, you're going to learn a lot about this gentleman here. Matter of fact, I'm not going to even take that much longer to introduce him. Matter of fact, his name is Algrish Williams. I want to make sure that I welcome him to the stage here. Welcome aboard, Algrish. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. I certainly appreciate you having me on the Al Hight Show. I tell you, I love what you're doing in the community and giving back to our educators and our students that are empowered to be future leaders across this nation.
Absolutely, Algrish. Absolutely. Well, listen, we don't want to take a long time in this because people are anxious to know about you. And so we want to make sure that we give you an opportunity. Can you share or just start telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do and why you do what you do?
Absolutely. So, folks, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world today. My name is Algrish Williams. I am a native of Jamaica, born in Jamaica, moved to the United States when I was a young boy. And believe it or not, when I came to the United States, I came from a life where I didn't have much. And I came to a place where I thought the roads were made of gold. And, you know, when you're in a foreign country and you think of America, you think everything is so much bigger, which it is. There's so much more opportunities here. And when I came to this environment, I was shocked to run across a few young men and women that kind of made me feel a little smaller than I was, especially when I'm coming from an area where I couldn't put two O's in pole. That's how bad I felt because I didn't have shoes on my feet back then normally. And so I came to the United States and got my nice kicks and went off to school and gotten teased about my bobos. You know, if you at least 30 plus years old, you might know what bobos are, especially if you come from the up north region in the New England area there. But nonetheless, I tell you, I'm so glad that I went through that journey because what that journey allowed me to do was to run across great educators that showed me that regardless of what others do and how they make you feel, you don't have to succumb to the environment simply by existing in that manner. So they've allowed me to get involved in activities, lead, and help others. And as a result, I ended up joining the United States Army and serving over 26 years. And from that, I left the United States Army. So what's interesting about that, I served in the United States Army and made it all the way up to the rank of Command Sergeant Major, which is no easy feat. They call us the top 1%ers. I didn't think it was a big deal until when I really sat down and looked at the numbers and gotten corrected or encouraged by a few of my leaders to, you know, really look back at it. Out of all the folks that qualified to be in the military, 1%. Less than 1% qualified to join the military. I joined because I needed money for college, and I got that. I completed my bachelor's, completed my master's, made it to the top, left that, came into the corporate world, and what I do now is I write books, I talk to leaders, help leaders become better leaders, but more importantly, I believe in empowering educators and ensuring that they enrich the lives of our future students, future leaders. And so I founded a nonprofit organization called Williams Education Foundation, where I do just that.
Wow, man, what a story. And we just started. The Bobos. People have to know what that is. If you're over 30, you might know what that is there. So we might give them an opportunity to talk about a little bit about that before you get off, Algrish. Okay, Algrish. So what sparked your interest in establishing your company? What kind of motivated you to do that?
Yeah, so like I said, when I came to this country, I came in with a bigger eye, and I thought that I didn't realize how bad my life was, or how bad I had it. Because to me, when everyone is in the same environment, living the same way, you don't think anything of it until you go someplace else and you see something different, and you were taught somewhere different. So I didn't know I was poor until I got to the United States. And even then, when I got to the United States, my father did a great job of working multiple jobs to provide for us. But he was an old-fashioned Jamaican, and that saw things a little differently. And so when you think about me going to college, not being able to go, the reason why I couldn't go is because he wouldn't give me his income nor his Social Security information to fill out a FAFSA form, because he didn't understand what those people needed that for. But I'm glad that, that transpired, because had I not done that, I wouldn't have joined the military. But to back it up a little bit, the reason why I even got to that point of joining the military is because I had great educators that saw how bad my self-esteem was, and they helped pivot my life a little bit differently. So, the question I normally ask people is this: can you think of an educator that have changed your life? Right. So for me, there are three pivotal educators in middle school: Miss Rowe; in high school, Miss Joanne Williams; and Miss Sandra Chestnut. And believe it or not, the one that had the biggest impact on me, don't even know that she had that impact on me, was Miss Chestnut. And to this day, I have not even gotten a chance to thank her for what she did. But because our teachers are unsung heroes, and they're the backbone of our community and supporting our community, they're the least supported, in my opinion. Because of them, I believe that my cause, my why, is always to give back to communities, but I feel so much more passionate about supporting educators, because it was because of an educator or educators that I am standing in front of you, a success story.
All right, awesome, man. And I was going to ask you about how did you get to where you are, and you kind of explained a little bit about how you transferred from Jamaica, and you got over here and you started a new life, how you joined the Army, you went to college, and so you briefly explained that. And now I was going to ask you, was there anyone in particular that stand out that gave you a particular experience that significantly shaped you? So I hear about Miss Chestnut and some of the other teachers that you mentioned, and that they really didn't know that they had that great of impact on you. And many teachers don't know that they have that kind of a pull over a student. But man, you just mentioned how that is. Was there a significant moment that really stood out and just say, hey, I'm going to change around and do something? Was there anything particular moment that stood out?
Well, I'll be honest, and it sounds trivial, but the one thing that Miss Chestnut, so it's a little backstory with Miss Chestnut, she was the advisor for a program called Master's Pre-Engineering Program, where I've been in that program since middle school, and I got into high school. I ended up being the president of that program, but I was still going through my own identity crisis. But the one thing I did, I shared a photo with her of some sort, and she turned around and said, you really got beautiful eyes. And I didn't know what she meant by that, because during that time I was getting so much negativity. One, I was dark-skinned, still dark-skinned, obviously, but but
you changed that, right?
The kids, even family members would, really make fun of us back in the 90s about being darker, until Wesley Snipes or whoever it was back then, made some pivotal changes. Dark-skinned fellas wasn't in, and so that moment forced me to really take a look at myself and find positive things about me that I liked. I drew my face after 3.5 hours or so, and I saw something in my eyes that stood out to me, that gave me a little bit of encouragement to look for something else. So that one thing sparked a change for me to identify positive traits about myself that I liked about myself, so that I can reinforce my own esteem and not worry about other people's ability to control how I think about myself and how I believe in myself. And that matriculated through the military, where I led and trained many people, that matriculated into the corporate world where I am now, and I matriculated into my why of always wanting to give back to others to improve upon their lives, so that they can be of value to others as well.
Man, that's great, Algrish, and I really appreciate that. A couple of things that you mentioned in our short conversation thus far here is, one is that you didn't realize you're poor until you came here. You know, and then even when you got here, your father did a great job of doing what he was doing. He worked hard. You know, I can resonate with that story as well. In the area I grew up, Grand Rapids, Michigan, on the south side, southwest side, and the southeast side, didn't know I was poor. You know, everything was great. Matter of fact, I never knew that until I was bused into the suburbs and had to go to school in an area that I was unfamiliar with, and I'm like, does everyone live in a mansion here? You know, oh my God, what is this? The streets are regular. There's no bumps in them. You know, they got regular basketball courts where people actually play basketball. They didn't set up those things out in the middle of the streets like I did. And, you know, when we played football, we played on our grass in the front yard. They actually have fields, you know. So, yeah, I understand that feeling as well. You know, I appreciate it. What I did have and didn't know. Matter of fact, I can tell you that when I didn't know, I was happier because I didn't know. But when I saw what I was missing, I'm like, wow, I think I want that. But looking back, I was real happy knowing what I had, you know, because I made the best of it. You know, but so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go back that far, but boy, that's great. I understand those stories. So let me go here a little bit. For those who are unfamiliar with you and unfamiliar with your company, explain a little bit about what you do and what your company is all about in simple terms.
Yeah, certainly. So Williams Education Foundation, it is a 501(c) nonprofit organization that support educators by direct contribution. So we have a education recognition program, direct financial support to educators, scholarships for future educators, partnering with those schools directly, school districts, and in the future, developing workforce development and leader development to support our educators to enhance their ability in the classroom, enrich their lives so that they can continue to support our students and so that they can build those future leaders like ourselves, because you yourself was a veteran also, but other leaders across industry. Because when you look at it, our educators spend more time with our children than we do, and they can put into the students ideas that will change their lives. But we got to make sure our educators feel empowered, and we got to support them. A little appreciation goes a long way. And so Williams Education Foundation, that's what we do.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that 100%, Algrish. I can tell you that our students do spend a lot of time, sometimes more time, quality time as far as educational opportunities with the educators as opposed to they do at home. Well, what's the most rewarding aspect of your work?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question. You know, I would tell you about a month or so ago, I was at an event for my youngest twins. They're in elementary school now, and it was really a simple act. I sponsored the Teacher of the Month program for Round Top Elementary School, and while there, one of the teachers mentioned I received my gift card for being Teacher of the Month, and I really, just to see his enthusiasm about a small token, that to me, made me realize that what we're doing, regardless of how big or how small it is in my mind, the impact of it goes a long way. And so just being able to see those educators, the smile on their face when they recognize that someone else recognized their greatness and support them, that to me is a big deal. And I'm excited to be part of that small change that impact our educators, even if it is a small chain reaction. That chain reaction is going to create some ripple effects down the line.
All right, great. I can understand that as well. And so, yeah, sometimes it's the small things. Sometimes we think people have to have these big rewards, but it's those small little things along the way that help people grow. Absolutely. So now, with that being said, we all know that there's challenges in what we do. So you mentioned a couple already, that when you were younger, people teach you about the race, the color of your skin, and all those kind of good things. But tell me about some of the other challenges that you had. What kind of challenges did you face in your career, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I mean, many. I faced many challenges. And a big part of that is really around resiliency. So, as an example, even going through school, growing up, joining the military, not having certain things put us behind, the finances, being able to support, whether it be education, ourselves personally. Then one of the biggest things for me, you know, especially joining the military, I joined to get away from home so that I could create my own identity. But even in doing so, I got to the military and I got to a point where I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And, you know, having leaders that, great leaders, but then I also had some leaders that really weren't necessarily doing the right thing. And so because of those leaders, to be honest, it actually did the opposite. It forced me to stay in the military a little longer to replace what I call toxic leadership, because I faced some leaders that were really, you know, terrible. When I say terrible, you know, they will tell you not to do certain things, but then they themselves are out there doing the most egregious things that can impact the lives of people, causing people to, you know, use substance abuse and do substance abuse and do other things, to include even the simplest thing as assault or whatever the case may be. But those leaders gave me fire to be the opposite, to train to become a better leader. And then leaving the military, I still saw some of those same things where you have leaders that would try to step on you to get to the next level. And, you know, that was one of the reasons why I even started writing in the first place, you know, dealing with a couple of positive mentors that asked me, well, you always giving great advice about this and about that when it comes to leadership, when it comes to branding. Why not put it in a book? So I started writing because of having to deal with certain things that did not make sense or was not helpful to add value to our community, to others who are trying to get to the next level.
Wow. Yeah. You know, we know we got some terrible leaders. We run across some good ones every now and then, but wow. Yeah, they could really make a difference in your life, those leaders that are not educated in the right things. And so having great leadership means a lot more than just being there. It could determine some outputs in people's livelihood and their lives. Absolutely. So
let me add this too, Al. That doesn't mean I'm perfect by any means now. I want to put that out there. You know, I've made my own mistakes, even as a leader. And I think one of the biggest mistakes I made, really, as a young leader, moving into position, making a decision because I can. Because I'm in the position itself was not the best decision for my subordinate at the time. And recognizing that I had to do a self-reflection, self-assessment to but was wrong. To bring up there, I just wanted to share that part to make sure folks know that I live in a glass house too, so don't think I'm throwing stuff.
Algrish, I'm going to ask you actually to repeat some of that because your camera froze on you a little bit, so people didn't get a chance to hear everything that you just said. So I know we live in a glass window as well. So so can you go back over that just a little bit because the internet froze up a little bit on you, and it sounded like you were saying some important stuff, so I want people to hear that again.
So really, what I want to emphasize here is that although I talk about leaders that weren't necessarily doing the right thing, I want to make sure people understand that I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes in my own leadership, whether that is to make a decision about a subordinate or whoever the case may be, because I had the power to do that. And so where I made the greatest mistakes was making a decision that impact one of my subordinate that could have caused his family to not be together, that could have caused a divorce, could have done a lot of different things and caused this individual to spiral out of control simply because I'm that leader. But what I had to do was some self-reflection and actually have a conversation with that subordinate to make sure that he understood what my intent was, but also to understand where did I go wrong and apologize for my own mistakes. So, being a leader doesn't mean that you always have to have the answers. Sometimes it's most important to stop and pause to ask, how can I help? What is it that you're looking for, and where do you want to go, and then add value that way first and foremost.
Absolutely. So keeping you motivated in that as well, learning how to deal with people, learning that we're not perfect. And most leaders, before they become a great leader, they have to be a great follower. Before they become great leaders, 100%. You have to be a great follower. And so, if you can't follow, you can't lead. That's for sure. Because sometimes you got to have that experience, and you got to have those ups and downs until you get all that together. So I know what keep you motivated, because you talked about kids a little bit and what to do, and just coming from the life that you have. But can you share just a little bit more about your motivation?
Well, additionally, I think for me, being in an environment where I came from nothing, I certainly believe in giving back, but more importantly, making sure that my own children see that I'm modeling the things that I'm saying. I've even published a book recently. You'll see it out here on Amazon within the next few days, called Leading with Integrity in a Distracted World. The audio must match the video. The caveat really is the audio must match the video. So when I talk about giving back, it is not a lip service. It is a form of legacy, because I believe that my children should model what it is that I'm doing, and that is to be of value to society, not just to be a consumer. We have skills and attributes that can add value to others. And so if we're doing the right thing, we can also impact others by being that mirror that they can look and see themselves and ask themselves, am I doing enough?
Wow, great, man. I love it. The audio must work the video must match the audio. Outstanding, man. I love it. I'm waiting to look out for that book that you got coming out there on Amazon pretty quick. Okay, so tell me about this. When you're not working, and there's not a lot of us doing what we're doing, that we have a lot of time not to work, what do you do for fun, man? What do you do to kind of relax and get just kind of chill time? Being a parent of 5, I have 5 beautiful children, and I have a granddaughter now. I really enjoy spending time with my family, man. I love just sitting back, watching my kids grow, whether that is going out to soccer with my daughter, sitting down, watching my son build his Legos and build his fancy the buildings and infrastructure that he liked to put together, or just sitting down watching a movie with them, going out and going to the park, going to church. For me, time with my family is probably one of the most important things next to my faith. My faith is there. God asked me to lead my family first before I do other things. And so fun for me is spending time with my family, cooking for them, gardening when that time. And I do love cooking. I tell you, I make a mean jerk chicken. But oh, wow. Okay, I was just about to go there and just say, what kind of chicken you making now? Now, you're in America now, so I wonder if the jerk chicken still go over that.
Oh, no, it's the number one request of anyone. Matter of fact, I got to share one of the brochures, which I actually went out and cooked for my teachers not too long ago. But to be honest, spending that quality time with my family is where I find the most enjoyment. And then, of course, my wife, being able to have our downtown where we can just sit and talk and plan time together is where a lot of that come in for me, because I am busy. I stay busy. I don't even know how I do half the things that I do. Well, let me correct that statement. It is through God that I'm able to do what I do, because He provides the strength and allow me to continue to do the things I do. But without my family, I wouldn't be as great as I am. And they reaffirm that to me every day.
All right, good. Okay, so if you could give one piece of advice that someone shared with you, what would it be? That's starting off in your career.
To be consistent. If you start something, finish it. Be consistent in those things that you do. I could remember one leader asked me, and this was right before I got married, what am I investing in? And at that time, I wasn't investing in anything. And to be honest, my grandfather really talked to me about investments and strategies that I didn't understand at the time that he was talking to me about it. It wasn't until he passed away that I got that. But prior to that, about 10 years prior to his passing away, I had a leader that took me down and sat me down and actually walked me through investment strategies and making sure I understand how to make a dollar grow while I'm sleeping. Right. And so I would say that part, but being consistent with that and then being kind to others. That's being kind. Mm-hmm. It's free. It don't cost anything. Absolutely. Okay, so what's next for you? Are there any exciting projects on the horizon that you got going on? Anything new coming up outside of the books that you're writing? Outside of the book, so this is my third book that I'll be publishing. Like I said, Leading with Integrity in a Distracted World, the audio must match the video. That is coming out soon. I just recently started my doctoral study at Liberty University, so wish me luck with that piece, because although I do write, there's a difference between writing articles and writing books than it is actually sitting there focusing on APA format and so forth. So y'all pray for me while I go through this process of continuing to educate myself and to stay one step ahead. But that's really the next thing. And then, of course, continuing to grow impact within the Williams Education Foundation. And this year I have a fundraising event campaign, which is 20 for 26. And I'm hoping that as we continue this journey of empowering our educators, that others will join me in this journey and reach out to Williams Education Foundation simply through the Williams Education Foundation.org, or reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or any of the other social sites to understand how they can be a part of supporting our future educators by giving just a little bit that will go a long way.
Outstanding. I went to a college at Spring Arbor University, and so I understand about writing, and they were the writingest school it was, and they when you left there, you know how to write, and I still had a hard time at it, but man, I can tell you that writing is something else, especially when you're looking at AP writing and the different ways that they do all the things that they do to be a real genuine writer, the way that they have it set up. But I thank goodness now that you can write some things that they're not too hard on, but the particular ways to do it. But if it's a bestseller, it's a bestseller, and I'm just happy to be out of school. I tell you that. As far as learning and doing those writing, I wasn't the very best at it. I had some good stories, but I can tell you that they were a good school. I think Spring Arbor University in Michigan, folks, very, very, very good school. Okay, so how can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me, reach out to me via WilliamsEducationFoundation.org. So again, that's WilliamsEducationFoundation.org. You can find out more about the organization, what we're doing in the community. Outside of that, if that's a little bit too long for you to remember, Algrish is the name, Algrish. You type that in the search on LinkedIn, it'll pop right up. As a matter of fact, you type it in Google, you'll find me really easily. So I'm not hard to find, but www.williamseducationfoundation.org is the fastest way to find me, to learn more about what Williams Education Foundation is doing and how you can be a part of it to get back to our educator, help empowering them so that we can enrich their lives.
And no worry, folks, we're going to put a lot of his information up on the tagline, and you may be seeing it right now as we're doing it on some of our tickers that we have and putting this information up. So take a picture of it, a screenshot, so that you can get his information to get in contact with Algrish and learn more about what he's doing and find out where to get his books at. Where do you get your books at? Where do we go to get your books?
So currently I am on Amazon here in the near future. So again, it's real easy. Just in the search bar, type Algrish, and you'll see 4 books pop up. The first 3 are the ones that I've written, and the last one is one that I co-authored with a gentleman by the name of Noel Jesus. And here within the next month or so, I'll have another website out there, algrishwilliams.com, where you will be able to purchase directly if you want to have an autographed book sent to you. Otherwise, Amazon is the spot.
Outstanding. Well, that's good, guys. You know where to get it. Now, what was your first 3 books about?
So my first book was about navigating the transition, Guide to Excel in a Corporate Network, and which essentially is about branding yourself and being able to get to your next career without being so fixated on resumes. What are those steps to build your brand to where you can add value instantly to an organization and allow you to walk in without a resume, if you will. And of course, for those transitioning from the military, that was a great guide to help them. But anyone that's pivoting from one career to the next, this is a great guide to help them there. And then right after that was Lead with Purpose, Unleash the Power of Meaningful Leadership. That was number 2. And then number 3 again is Leading in a world, Leading in a Distracted World. Leading with Integrity in a Distracted World, the audio must match the video. That one is out on Amazon as of today, and so it just got published this week, and you'll see more about that in the upcoming weeks. I have not done a lot of promo just yet. And then I co-authored several other books. One again was with Noel Jose. You'll see that on Amazon. If you pull that up, you'll see it right there.
Outstanding, folks. Well, you heard him right there. So we want to make sure that you get out and you visit Algrish sites and check out what he has going on. And he co-authored this last one here with another author. So we want to make sure that you guys get a chance to check him out and read up what he has. Check out his website. Find out what he does. If it's something that fits you and what you're looking for, make contact with him and let him know that you heard about it from the Hight Show. Okay, here we go. Algrish, is there anything else you would like to share with our audience that maybe we didn't touch on that you want to share?
You know what I'll tell, again, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. As we think about life and just being a positive impact on the community, when I talked about the audio must match the video, and what we do, whatever we do, aligning our actions with our values, whether that is, through your faith, whatever the case may be, be consistent in what you do. Remember, someone is always watching. So, don't take for granted that you are a leader. You're going to impact someone's life. Think about those educators that impact your life. Matter of fact, that's the question I want to ask each of you out there as you think about it now. Name that one educator that had the greatest impact on your life and reach out and thank them if you have not done that.
All right. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Algrish, I just want to say thank you again for joining us on the Hight Show. We really enjoyed having you, and I'm sure the audience out here, this goes worldwide, by the way, and so people from all over the world get a chance to see you on all of our different social media. So if you get it in YouTube, you're not looking at it, and you're only looking at the hearing the audio, but you can listen to it and you can watch it. You got Spotify, you got YouTube, LinkedIn, all the other places that you want to find your social media there. We are there, even on StreamYard. So you'll be able to watch it or see it or hear it. So if you're driving and you can't get a chance to see us right now, when you get a chance, stop. Or if you're not driving and maybe you're passenger in the car, check it out on the site there and see what we got going on here at the Hight Show. And once again, I want to thank Algrish C. Williams Sr. I just want to say thank you. One of the best-selling authors, he said, speaker and veteran advocate. And so what a great thing this gentleman has going on. We ask that you guys support him. Now, with that being said, you guys know how I do it here at the end of the show. At every end of the Hight Show. What do I say? You know it. Come on, repeat it with me. I say, be kind. Be nice. Be smart. Be just. Be patient. Before you send that email out, or before somebody cut you off, and before you say those words, especially if you're on a computer and you're about to send that email, step away for a moment. Relax. Calm down. Look at it. Read it again. And then take all of that information and just say, thank you. We'll follow up later or whatever. If someone cuts you off, don't get mad. Be cool, guys. Relax. This is another day. Have a kind heart to folks. You never know what a great smile can do for someone. Smile at someone, wave your hand, and just say hello. A lot going on in the world, and you may make the difference between a right and a wrong decision that day by just being a smiling, kind face. But sometimes you don't have to say anything, just wave a nice hand and just give a heads up. All right? So you guys know how we do it. Once again, another great show. I want to thank my guest, Algrish Williams. Check us out on the Hight Show and look at more, ANHSCA.com. And that'll do it for today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the Hight Show. Have a great day.
Thank you, folks.